Hello everybody, back up on our Wisconsin property, and it's time to check the food plots, see how the spraying worked. So we're walking into the north field. This is that 10-yard wide stretch of clover, and I'm a little disappointed. I don't know what weeds this stuff supposedly killed, but well, it knocked some of the stuff down, it looks like. This stuff here didn't seem to do much to that. That little weed looks a little sick. That big giant one that I joked about putting a tree stand in, it's gone. So must have killed that one off. But that stuff doesn't even look like I sprayed it with anything. Let's see. Those little briars and stuff. Edges, the leaves are a little singed on that one. This thing looks healthy as can be. Yeah, it doesn't look like it accomplished much for me. This is all still weedy. Didn't hurt the clover though, so it looks like I am going to have to mow this clover field today. I was hoping to not have to do that a month before hunting season, but looks like if I want to try to control some weeds, that's what I'm going to have to do. So go back to the shed, get the garden tractor out, and I'll come back in here and we'll mow the clover field. Now that I'm done mowing the clover, it's time to go ahead and work on planting the north field and the west field. The first thing I need to do is go spread some fertilizer on the ground. I run soil sample tests about every third year on my fields just to see where the pH levels are at, see if I need to add any lime, and just to see what kind of fertilizer I need to put out there. This year, clover didn't need any fertilizer at all, but the north field and the west field are going to need one 50-pound bag each of urea and potash. So before I dig the ground, I like to go ahead and spread the fertilizer. So I'm going to hook the spreader up to my four-wheeler, and I'm going to head off and get this part of the project done. decided to spare you the boredom of watching a time lapse of me race around the food plot spreading fertilizer. I looked at the clip, and honestly, the most exciting thing was a cloud rolling across the sky. So I deleted it, and we're going to go ahead and fast forward to where we are right now. Fertilizer's been spread, and it's time to disconnect the pull behind spreader, hook up the digger and the drag, load up our seed, grab our hand spreaders, and head out over to the north field. We're back in the north field, getting ready to dig, drag, and plant this food plot, but I thought before I did that, just give you a quick once-over of some of the equipment that I'm going to be using here today. The main machine that we use to put in our food plots is just this old, I think it's a 2003 Honda Rancher 350. Well, it's not a brand new machine. It's not the most powerful thing out there, but it just gets the job done for us. Even older than that is our spring tooth digger. Usually when you buy these, they come in a gang of three, a left, a right, and a center. This was the, if you're looking at it from the front, it was the left-hand side. Usually before you use these things, you have to modify them a little bit. Like this one in particular, I had to flip over these two downward brackets, and you see I had to weld in a section of runner on the back before I could make this thing work all by itself. On sandy soil, honestly, I don't think there's anything better than these. On clay or hard packed soil, don't even think about it. But they're just a real simple, basic digger. You know, they've got 6, 8 of these little spring teeth on them, and they're all kind of linked together. So you just squeeze this handle, push this down, set this as deep as you want, pin locks it in place, and you drag it around. Usually on our food plots, I set these things so they dig maybe 2 inches deep. You really don't need to dig down very deep to do one of these food plots, at least not in this soil. After we dig them, then we use a piece of chain link fence on a 2x4 with a rope. We drag this around to level everything off. Actually, I think I need to put a new piece of chain link on here. This thing's pretty ratty. I meant to replace it last year, but never got to it. And here's our seed and our planters that we're going to use. Now for the north field, we're going to use this turnip and brassica mix in the container on the lower right-hand corner. It's just a mix of 2 parts purple top turnip and 1 part this brassica mix from Whitetail Institute. And we use one of these little Scott spreaders to seed the field because those seeds are so tiny. For the west field, we're going to put them again in this Oats Plus, and you have to use a larger spreader to do that because these kernels, you can see these seeds are pretty good size. They just don't fit through the little gate on one of these Scott spreaders. So usually I'll use a cyclone cedar, or I think this is some cedar from Earthway. I don't know. I bought that thing at a flea market a couple years ago, I think for $5, and it works great. So that's the equipment, the seed, and the spreaders that we're going to use. So let's get the digger set up, and let's finish up this north field. And that's it for the north field. Got it fertilized, dug, dragged, seeded. Everything looks good. You can see we got a pretty nice flat little seed bed there. You can see all the seeds sitting here on the surface. Little blue dots are the Whitetail Institute stuff, the regular turnip seed. You can't see it blends into the dirt. But we're done over here. Now we got to pack up all our stuff, head across the creek, and go take care of the west field. Now we're all done digging the west field. You notice I haven't dragged this yet. It's all rough. It's got furrows in it. Soil's nice and loose how we want it. The reason I haven't dragged this yet is because I am planting oats in this field. When we plant turnips, you want those to sit right on top of the soil. So we drag it, then we broadcast them. But with this oats, you're supposed to have it covered up in soil, about an inch deep or so. I don't own a grain drill, so how we plant these is we dig the field, then we broadcast the seed, then we run the drag to bury everything underneath. So now that I've got it dug, next thing I need to do is fill up my little seeder here and go ahead and spread some seed on this field. That's all for today. We got the north field planted in turnips and some brassica mix. We got the west field planted in oats. We mowed the clover field because the weed killer was a little disappointing. Oh, there is one other thing I want to do to this field, and I'll do this after we're done filming. I'm going to take the remainder of that brassica mix and I'm just going to overseed it on the top of these oats. I did that last year. Just gave them a little something else for the deer to eat, but it didn't grow enough to make bulbs or anything for the winter. It was just kind of a, in case the oats don't come up sort of thing. But at any rate, that's all for planting food plots today. I think the weather's calling for a little rain later in this week, so hopefully we get some water on the fields. We get these things to germinate and start growing before hunting season. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on another episode.